The Lucrehulk-class Battleship stands as one of the most iconic and versatile warships of the Clone Wars, a symbol of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, CIS, industrial might and ingenuity. Originally designed as an immense cargo freighter for the Trade Federation, the Lucrehulk's transition to a heavily armed battleship demonstrated how economic power could be leveraged into military dominance. Central to this transformation was the ship's formidable array of weaponry, which turned it from a simple carrier of goods into a devastating tool of war. The ship's weaponry was meticulously distributed across its massive frame, ensuring defensive coverage, offensive firepower, and multi-role capabilities that could adapt to the demands of large-scale galactic warfare. Before the Clone Wars, the Lucrehulk-class ships were primarily designed as massive freighters, carrying goods and maintaining trade routes across the galaxy. However, the vast wealth carried in their holds made them prime targets for pirates and rival factions, necessitating basic defensive measures. Early models of the Lucrehulk were equipped with 42 quad turbolaser batteries, modest by military standards, but adequate to repel light attacks from starfighter squadrons or marauding ships. The placement of these quad turbolasers prioritized broad coverage rather than overwhelming firepower. Distributed evenly along the outer ring structure, the turbolasers ensured the Lucrehulk could defend itself from attacks in all directions. These early defensive systems reflected the ship's commercial purpose, with the weapons serving more as deterrents than tools for prolonged engagements. Despite this, the ship's massive size and redundant systems hinted at its potential for military retrofitting, a feature that would later be exploited by the Confederacy. With the outbreak of the Clone Wars, the Trade Federation aligned with the Separatists, and the Lucrehulk class underwent a radical transformation. These ships, which had once carried goods and droids, were repurposed as frontline warships to bolster the Separatist fleet. The upgrades were extensive, focusing on expanding both defensive and offensive capabilities to meet the needs of a galactic-scale conflict. The retrofitting was particularly focused on two main sections: the ring carrier, which formed the bulk of the ship's structure, and the core ship, a detachable module capable of independent operation. The massive outer ring of the Lucrehulk-class battleship became a platform for an unparalleled arsenal, combining defensive and offensive weaponry to create a nearly impenetrable fortress in space. A significant upgrade came in the form of 164-point defense quad laser batteries. These rapid-firing weapons were strategically placed across the ring to create a protective barrier against incoming starfighter squadrons and missile attacks. The quad laser batteries had an exceptionally high rate of fire, enabling them to engage multiple targets simultaneously and ensure that the ship's vulnerable sections, such as its hangars and external systems, were well protected. In addition to the point defense systems, the Lucrehulk's ring housed 472 medium laser cannons, an unprecedented number that solidified the ship's dominance in close-quarters combat. These cannons offered a balance between rapid firing and destructive power, allowing the Lucrehulk to overwhelm enemy corvettes, frigates, and starfighters with sheer volume of fire. Unlike the quad laser batteries, which were primarily defensive, the laser cannons served an offensive role, enabling the Lucrehulk to actively engage smaller capital ships and swarms of enemy vessels with devastating efficiency. To complement its medium-caliber weapons, the Lucrehulk was armed with 48 quad turbo-laser batteries, which provided long-range firepower capable of engaging Republic Star Destroyers and other heavy capital ships. These turbolasers were distributed to maximize coverage, ensuring the Lucrehulk could deliver concentrated firepower against large enemy ships regardless of its orientation in battle. The addition of these weapons allowed the Lucrehulk to serve as the centerpiece of Separatist fleets, holding its own against the Republic's Venator-class Star Destroyers, while coordinating massive swarms of droid starfighters. The core ship, which could detach from the main ring and operate independently, was equipped with its own arsenal to ensure its survivability and combat effectiveness in isolated operations. Its defensive measures included 21-point defense quad laser batteries, arranged to provide a protective sphere of fire around the smaller structure. These weapons were crucial for defending the core ship from starfighter attacks and missile strikes, especially when separated from the protection of the ring carrier. Offensively, the core ship featured 48 assault laser cannons, weapons specifically designed for medium-range engagements against smaller capital ships and heavily armed starfighters. These cannons provided the core ship with a powerful punch, enabling it to hold its own in fleet battles or during planetary assaults. Additionally, the core ship was outfitted with 3 heavy turbo lasers, which offered long-range firepower capable of targeting enemy cruisers and destroyers. This combination of medium and long-range weapons made the core ship a versatile and self-sufficient combatant, capable of contributing to fleet engagements or conducting independent operations. The weaponry of the Lucrehulk-class battleship reflected a multi-layered approach to combat, with its arsenal tailored to handle threats across multiple ranges and scales. The point defense quad lasers provided unparalleled protection against swarms of enemy starfighters, while the medium laser cannons and assault laser cannons filled the gap between defensive and offensive roles, ensuring the Lucrehulk could dominate in close and mid-range engagements. The heavy turbo lasers and quad turbo laser batteries allowed the ship to engage enemy capital ships effectively, making it a formidable opponent in fleet battles. This versatility allowed the Lucrehulk to serve as both a battleship and a carrier, coordinating fleets of droid starfighters while providing heavy fire support. Its weapons were carefully integrated with its other systems, including its massive hangars, which could deploy thousands of droid fighters, and its powerful shields, which could absorb significant damage during engagements. The Lucrehulk-class battleship's weaponry was a testament to the ingenuity of the Separatist engineers and their ability to adapt civilian infrastructure for military purposes. The combination of overwhelming firepower, robust defensive measures, and carrier capabilities made the Lucrehulk one of the most versatile and feared ships of the Clone Wars. Its ability to serve multiple roles on the battlefield ensured its place as a cornerstone of the Confederacy's naval strategy. Even after the Clone Wars, surviving Lucrehulks remained formidable assets. Some were captured and repurposed by the Galactic Empire, while others fell into the hands of pirate factions, planetary defense forces, or rebel cells. Their weaponry, though designed for war, ensured they continued to be valuable long after the fall of the Confederacy. The Lucrehulk-class battleship stands not only as a symbol of the Separatist war effort, but also as a prime example of how adaptable design and advanced armament can turn even a peaceful cargo freighter into a weapon of galactic significance. The Lucrehulk-class battleship, renowned for its immense size and versatility, relied on a sophisticated network of reactors and power systems to sustain its vast array of systems, from propulsion to weaponry. At the heart of this engineering marvel was its hypermatter reactor, a technological powerhouse capable of delivering energy on a monumental scale. This reactor, supported by auxiliary systems and integrated safety features, ensured the battleship's ability to operate in a variety of roles, from trade and logistics to full-scale war. At the core of the Lucrehulk's immense spherical structure lay its hypermatter reactor, a gargantuan energy source capable of producing an output in the range of 1.08 times 10 to the 25th to 4.32 times 10 to the 25th watts. This staggering power was necessary to fuel the ship's extensive systems, including its propulsion, shields, weaponry, and life support. The hypermatter reactor operated by converting hypermatter, a highly efficient fuel source derived from subatomic particles, into usable energy. The reactor's efficiency allowed the Lucrehulk to sustain prolonged operations without requiring frequent refueling, making it an ideal choice for extended deployments in both peacetime and wartime scenarios. The central placement of the reactor ensured an even distribution of energy throughout the ship's systems, minimizing inefficiencies and maintaining operational stability even during intense combat situations. The core was surrounded by layers of protective plating and fail-safes to prevent catastrophic damage in the event of a reactor breach. While the hypermatter reactor was the primary source of power, the Lucrehulk also featured a series of auxiliary reactors strategically distributed throughout its structure. These secondary reactors served multiple purposes. If the main reactor was shut down for maintenance or became temporarily inoperative due to damage, the auxiliary reactors could sustain critical ship functions, including life support, communications, and basic propulsion. During high-energy scenarios, such as intense combat or hyperspace jumps, the auxiliary reactors could supplement the main reactor's output to ensure the ship operated at peak capacity. This layered approach to power generation provided the Lucrehulk with a level of operational reliability unmatched by many other capital ships of its era. Adjacent to the main reactor were the ship's cooling systems, which played a critical role in maintaining the reactor's stability. These systems used spherical tanks of coolant, strategically located at the top of the ship's dome, to dissipate the immense heat generated by the hypermatter reactor. Advanced heat exchange mechanisms ensured that reactor components operated within safe temperature ranges, reducing wear and the risk of thermal overload. Maintenance of the reactor systems was largely automated, handled by the ship's vast network of maintenance droids. These droids were equipped with diagnostic tools and repair capabilities, ensuring that any anomalies were quickly addressed. However, human supervisors were always on hand to oversee critical maintenance operations and make high-level decisions in the event of a system failure. The power generated by the reactor was distributed across the Lucrehulk's numerous systems via an intricate grid of conduits and relays. This power network sustained the ship's Rendley Star Drive Proton 2 engines and Proton 12 secondary engines, enabling the massive battleship to achieve a maximum acceleration of 300 GE and an atmospheric speed of 500 kilometers per hour. The energy-intensive Class 2.0 hyperdrive and its Class 10 backup were also directly reliant on the reactor's output, ensuring the ship's ability to travel across vast distances with precision and speed. The reactor also powered the ship's extensive deflector shield network. The shields required immense energy, especially during combat, where they absorbed incoming fire from enemy ships. To protect the vital reactor, the shield generators were located near the reactor core, but shielded under heavy armor, ensuring their survivability even in high-intensity engagements. The versatility of the Lucrehulk's reactor extended beyond its military applications. In the aftermath of the Clone Wars, decommissioned or captured Lucrehulks were sometimes repurposed as mobile power stations. These ships could land on planets and provide energy to entire cities, functioning as floating power plants. This capability underscored the adaptability of the hypermatter reactor, which could sustain a range of operations beyond its original design. The modular nature of the reactor also allowed for modifications, enabling the ship to switch between military and civilian roles with relative ease. This flexibility was a testament to the engineering foresight that went into the design of the Lucrehulk-class Battleship. The reactor's energy also supported the ship's high-performance supercomputers, located near the reactor core. These systems were initially designed for trade and exploration purposes, housing vast repositories of data, including maps of secret hyperspace routes, information on newly discovered planets, and logistical records. Over time, these computers were upgraded to serve as tactical command centers, capable of processing vast amounts of battlefield data and coordinating the movements of droid armies. The computer systems were secured by multiple layers of encryption and firewalls, protecting valuable Trade Federation data. This information was instrumental in maintaining the Federation's dominance over profitable trade routes, as well as providing the CIS with a strategic advantage during the Clone Wars. In military scenarios, the reactor's power allowed the Lucrehulk to maintain continuous firepower, sustain its defensive shields under heavy assault, and deploy vast quantities of droid starfighters and ground units. The reactor's capacity to handle energy surges during combat meant that the ship could function as a formidable command vessel, capable of withstanding prolonged engagements while coordinating large-scale fleet operations. The integration of reactor systems with the ship's weaponry, shields, and propulsion created a cohesive and resilient combat platform. This ensured that the Lucrehulk-class battleship could adapt to a variety of battlefield conditions, from fleet engagements to planetary invasions. The reactors of the Lucrehulk-class battleship were far more than mere power sources. They were the lifeblood of a vessel that defined the Confederacy's naval strategy. From enabling its massive energy demands to supporting its transition from trade to war, the reactor system embodied the ingenuity and versatility of Neimoidian engineering. Whether powering a fleet flagship or supplying energy to a city, the Lucrehulk's reactors demonstrated an unparalleled capacity for adaptation, ensuring their legacy as one of the most iconic systems in galactic history. The Lucrehulk-class battleship, designed by the Trade Federation, is a towering example of industrial engineering. While originally built as a transport ship for carrying vast quantities of cargo, its modification into a warship involved a powerful propulsion system capable of propelling this colossal vessel across the stars and into the heart of battle. Its engines were key to both its massive scale and its capability in combat, providing the necessary speed, maneuverability, and endurance to serve the needs of the Confederacy during the Clone Wars. The Lucrehulk's propulsion system was a sophisticated combination of 3 Proton 2 sublight engines and 12 Proton 12 sublight engines. These engines were designed and manufactured by Rendili Stardrive, a company with a long history of producing powerful engines for large warships like the Victory-class Star Destroyer and the Dreadnought-class heavy cruiser. These engines provided the primary thrust for the Lucrehulk, propelling the ship through space at speeds sufficient to engage in tactical maneuvers. Each of the 3 Proton 2 engines was incredibly powerful, designed for heavy lifting and sustained thrust over long distances. Despite the ship's massive size, these engines allowed it to reach an impressive maximum acceleration of 300 mglt, megalight per hour, a respectable figure, though not as fast as more specialized warships like the Venator-class Star Destroyer, which was significantly quicker. The additional 12 Proton 12 engines acted as secondary propulsion units, augmenting the primary engines and assisting with fine-tuned maneuverability, especially during complex battle scenarios or when operating at lower speeds in more confined areas, such as planetary atmospheres. These engines offered greater versatility, allowing the Lucrehulk to maintain control over its vast mass in a variety of tactical environments. Although capable of reaching a maximum atmospheric speed of 500 kilometers per hour, the Lucrehulk was not often employed in atmospheric combat. Its sheer size and mass placed significant strain on the reactors and propulsion systems when attempting to operate in an atmosphere. The repulsor lift engines, used to allow the ship to hover and land, demanded an enormous amount of energy, often forcing the ship's reactor to operate at peak capacity, making it highly inefficient for atmospheric operations. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship was equipped with 2 hyperdrive systems to allow for interstellar travel. The Class 2 hyperdrive was the main system used for long-distance travel, enabling the Lucrehulk to traverse vast distances between star systems with relatively fast speed. Though not the fastest in terms of hyperdrive ratings, it was adequate for the size and purpose of the ship. This hyperdrive unit allowed the Lucrehulk to engage in large-scale operations, including surprise raids and flanking maneuvers across distant star systems. The Class 10 backup hyperdrive ensured that the battleship could continue its journey in case of a primary system failure. While slower, this secondary drive unit provided critical redundancy, an essential feature for a vessel of such size. This also allowed the ship to continue its operations during emergencies, or when the primary hyperdrive system required maintenance. The Lucrehulk's engines were powered by a combination of its main hypermatter reactor and auxiliary reactors located at the stern of the ship. This unique configuration allowed the battleship to generate the immense power needed for its engines and other systems, such as the deflector shields and weaponry. The 3 Proton 2 sublight engines, along with the auxiliary engines, demanded an extraordinary amount of power to move the ship's massive weight, while the auxiliary reactors offered backup energy in case of primary reactor failure. The main reactor in the core of the Lucrehulk provided the lion's share of energy, which was distributed throughout the propulsion system to maintain the operational speed and combat readiness of the ship. The immense reactors placed at the stern were paired with energy shielding technologies, ensuring that the critical engine and propulsion systems were protected from enemy fire. The propulsion engines and reactors of the Lucrehulk were housed within specialized compartments, designed for both efficiency and defense. The protective field generators and deflector shields were situated near the engines, creating a multi-layered defense system that protected the ship's most vital components. These defensive shields helped to prevent damage from enemy fire, allowing the Lucrehulk to continue operating despite incoming hits. The shielding was divided into 2 distinct layers. First layer, sphere shield, encompassed the central core ship and was particularly robust. It offered defense against a wide range of energy-based weapons and projectiles. Second layer, ring shield, protected the cargo module and external sections of the ship, although it was more vulnerable than the first layer. The cargo module shields could be breached by high-powered weapons like proton torpedoes, though it would take considerable firepower to disable them completely. While the engine configuration of the Lucrehulk allowed for impressive power and maneuverability, it came with its own set of trade-offs. The 3 Proton 2 main engines provided considerable thrust, but were less agile than smaller specialized combat ships. In combat, the Lucrehulk was often outmaneuvered by faster ships, such as the Venator-class Star Destroyers and Acclamator-class assault ships. However, its immense firepower, supplemented by an army of droid starfighters and assault tanks, allowed it to overcome speed deficiencies. Additionally, the sheer weight and size of the ship, coupled with its propulsion system, limited its effectiveness in more intricate battlefield tactics, where smaller, faster ships could easily exploit gaps in its defenses. The Lucrehulk-class battleship was an imposing force on the battlefield, driven by a powerful engine system that allowed it to transport vast amounts of cargo or conduct massive assault operations across the galaxy. While not the fastest or most maneuverable ship in the galaxy, its engine configuration, paired with powerful reactors and shielding, made it a formidable vessel for long-term operations, sustained battles, and strategic dominance in space. Despite its limitations, the ship's propulsion system underscored its role as both a transport and a warship, adapted for the evolving needs of the Trade Federation and the Separatists during the Clone Wars. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship, a flagship of the Trade Federation, was not only a formidable warship but also a marvel of advanced electronics and sensor systems. Designed primarily for large-scale transport, it was adapted for military purposes with high-tech equipment that enabled it to control vast fleets of droid armies, navigate hyperspace, and coordinate communication across the galaxy. The ship's electronics played a crucial role in its operations, ranging from maintaining communications to ensuring the accuracy of its weapons. The communication infrastructure of the Lucrehulk was highly sophisticated, with a range of antennas and systems designed to ensure that the ship could remain in constant contact with the battlefield, command centers, and other vessels in the fleet. This network was also essential for coordinating the actions of battle droids, an integral component of the Trade Federation's military strategy. The ship had two primary communication antennas, which were positioned at strategic locations to maintain a clear line of communication over vast distances. These were crucial for long-range communications and had a high level of redundancy built in to prevent loss of contact during combat operations. In addition to the main antennas, the Lucrehulk was equipped with 6 auxiliary communication antennas scattered around its structure. These were essential for maintaining local communications, particularly when the ship was engaged in complex operations or facing interference. The ship also contained 16 signal receiver stations, which were responsible for capturing incoming signals, ranging from enemy communications to important intelligence feeds. These stations were essential for intercepting transmissions and gathering information during missions. The communication systems were encrypted to an extremely high degree, making it virtually impossible for enemies to intercept or decode sensitive messages. This encryption was critical for maintaining the Trade Federation's operational secrecy, especially during times of war. Despite the best efforts of enemy forces to intercept these communications, the Trade Federation's communications network remained secure throughout much of the conflict. The sensor systems of the Lucrehulk were designed to detect enemy ships, scan vast areas of space, and provide crucial data for targeting. They were integrated into the ship's fire control systems, ensuring that its weapons could accurately target adversaries in both deep space and closer quarters. The Lucrehulk's long-range sensors were designed to detect enemy ships from a significant distance. These sensors allowed the ship to detect threats before they could get close, giving the crew time to prepare defensive measures or launch counterattacks. These sensors were also used for navigating hyperspace and avoiding obstacles in space, such as asteroids and gravitational anomalies. At the heart of the ship's sensor array was the main sensor rectenna, a large and powerful sensor dish that could scan large sections of space in search of enemy vessels, debris, or anything that might pose a threat. This was the ship's primary tool for gathering situational awareness across vast distances. To provide backup and extend the ship's scanning range, the Lucrehulk was equipped with 4 auxiliary sensor rectennas. These smaller sensor arrays worked in conjunction with the main rectenna, enhancing the ship's ability to detect threats from multiple directions. In the case that the main sensor was damaged or compromised, the auxiliary sensors could still provide critical information. The Lucrehulk-class battleship was equipped with a highly advanced navigation system to ensure precise movement across the galaxy. This system integrated with the ship's long-range sensors and hyperdrive capabilities, allowing it to safely navigate hyperspace and avoid gravitational hazards, asteroids, and enemy patrols. The system was essential for coordinating the vast movement of cargo and droid armies, enabling the ship to be a formidable force on the battlefield. The central computer core was the brain of the ship, responsible for managing everything from basic functions to complex combat operations. It was linked to the sensor systems, communication arrays, and fire control systems, ensuring seamless coordination across all aspects of the ship's operations. The computer core also contained a temperature control system to regulate the ship's sensitive electronic equipment, preventing overheating and maintaining optimal performance. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship, originally designed as a massive cargo transport for the Trade Federation, was eventually repurposed into one of the most iconic and powerful warships of the galaxy. With a unique and imposing design, it was a symbol of the Federation's military might. The Lucrehulk was built to withstand extreme conditions and present a formidable presence in battle. Below is a breakdown of its key design features, from shielding and armor to its colossal dimensions. The Lucrehulk was equipped with multiple deflector shield generators, which provided protection against both energy-based attacks, like turbo lasers, and physical objects, such as missiles or debris. This layered defense was essential for a vessel of its size, ensuring that it could survive prolonged engagements with enemy forces. The ship's deflector shields were robust, with multiple generators ensuring full coverage against incoming attacks. These generators allowed for continuous regeneration and offered redundancy in case of damage to any single system, making it difficult for enemies to overwhelm the ship's defenses. The shield system was powerful enough to withstand the bombardment of battleship-grade turbo lasers and anti-ship missiles, though it was not without its vulnerabilities. The shields could be overwhelmed in certain areas, especially if sustained fire was concentrated on the same spot. The Lucrehulk had two distinct layers of shielding, one for the core ship and one for the cargo module. The core ship's shields were generally more resistant to damage, while the cargo module's deflector shield was somewhat weaker and more vulnerable. However, the cargo module was heavily armored, and attacking this area required significant firepower or specialized tactics, such as proton torpedoes. The Lucrehulk's design emphasized strength and resilience, both in its outer hull and its interior construction. Its ability to withstand prolonged combat engagements made it a formidable foe on the battlefield. The outer hull of the Lucrehulk was heavily reinforced, built to endure direct hits from powerful weapons like turbo lasers and blaster fire. This armor was particularly useful against smaller vessels and early assaults from fighters, while the ship's defenses could be bolstered further by its formidable shields. The hull's resilience also made the ship harder to damage via direct attacks, and its sheer size meant that any penetration would require significant effort and firepower. Inside, the Lucrehulk featured armored interior segments that protected key areas like the reactor, computer core, and vital communication systems. These segments were designed to isolate damage and prevent critical systems from being taken offline during a battle. The cargo modules were also reinforced, adding an additional layer of security to the ship's valuable assets. The Lucrehulk was one of the largest ships in the galaxy, and its sheer size played a significant role in its design. The battleship's enormous structure was built not only to house massive quantities of cargo, but also to deliver overwhelming firepower and withstand extended combat situations. The Lucrehulk measured an impressive 3,356.9 meters in length, making it one of the largest warships in the Separatist fleet. Its size allowed for a staggering array of weapons and defensive systems, as well as massive cargo holds for the Federation's logistical needs. The ship's length also enabled a multi-layered defensive layout, including its twin shield layers and strategic positioning of turrets and defense systems. At 3,009 meters wide, the Lucrehulk had a massive ring-shaped design. This gave it the appearance of a giant sphere surrounded by a large ring, with the core ship in the center. The wide, circular structure was not only for aesthetic purposes, but also for function, allowing for a large surface area to mount weapons, shields, and other essential systems. The height or depth of the Lucrehulk stood at 1,028.77 meters, making it taller than most capital ships. The size of the vessel allowed for internal components, such as cargo holds, sensor arrays, and communications equipment, to be dispersed across various sections. The height was also essential for providing ample space for the vast crew complement and the battle droid army that served aboard the ship. The Lucrehulk's design was heavily influenced by the functional needs of its owners, the Trade Federation. It had to be versatile, with the ability to function as both a cargo transport and a battle platform. The core ship was primarily responsible for housing the main systems and weapons, while the cargo module served as both a transport vessel and a defensive barrier. The ring structure of the Lucrehulk was an innovative feature that allowed for defensive systems to be placed around the perimeter, offering maximum coverage. This also allowed the core ship to be surrounded by a thick layer of armor and shields, while the cargo module provided extra space for weapons, droid control systems, and additional support equipment. The design of the Lucrehulk-class Battleship reflected the Trade Federation's desire for efficiency, power, and adaptability. It was a practical vessel for logistical purposes, but also a formidable warship when needed, showcasing the Federation's transition from commerce to warfare. Whether serving as a transport vessel or a fearsome battle platform, the Lucrehulk's design was built to withstand almost any threat the galaxy could throw at it. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship was not only a massive warship, but also an incredibly versatile vessel with impressive cargo capacity and the ability to house a significant fighter fleet. Its hangars and docking bays were essential for both its logistical operations and combat readiness. Serving as a critical part of its design, the hangar areas were large and efficiently organized to accommodate various spacecraft, from cargo shuttles to droid fighters. The Lucrehulk was equipped with at least 3 docking bays, strategically placed to facilitate cargo loading and unloading, as well as to support its expansive operations. Due to the ship's sheer size, it was incapable of landing on planets, which necessitated alternative methods for cargo transport. Instead of landing, the Lucrehulk relied on cargo shuttles and light transports that frequently shuttled goods between the ship and planetary surfaces. In cases where a planet lacked the resources for frequent shuttle operations, the Lucrehulk would dock with orbital cargo stations equipped with special docking mechanisms, often resembling paws or claws. These docking systems were crucial for managing the transfer of goods without requiring the ship to descend to a planet's surface, which could expose it to threats. Loading and unloading could be a complex, time-consuming process, especially when docking directly with orbital stations was not possible. In these situations, tractor beams were used to help position and move massive cargo containers, speeding up the process by lifting containers into or out of orbit. To maximize efficiency, the Lucrehulk featured multiple entrances to its hangars, allowing for simultaneous loading and unloading of goods across different sections of the ship. The Lucrehulk had a cargo capacity of 25 million tons, enabling it to transport vast quantities of materials, supplies, and vehicles. The size of the ship's hold made it the ideal vessel for the Trade Federation's needs, as it could carry a large number of droid fighters, cargo containers, and military equipment to sustain its operations. This immense capacity was a key feature, as it allowed the Lucrehulk to support large-scale operations without requiring frequent resupply missions. The Lucrehulk was not just a transport ship, it was also a combat powerhouse. Its hangars played a crucial role in deploying the ship's droid fighter fleet during battle. While primarily designed for logistical purposes, the hangars doubled as fighter deployment bays during wartime. The Lucrehulk was capable of housing up to 1,500 droid fighters or bombers, which made it a formidable force in space battles. However, despite its potential to carry such a vast fleet, the droid fighter complement was typically smaller to conserve resources and ensure that only the most efficient number of fighters were deployed. This strategy minimized operational costs, especially considering the logistical challenge of maintaining such a large fleet and the relatively short flight time of the Vulture droids, which could only stay in space for around 35 minutes before requiring refueling. Despite the logistical challenges of managing a large fleet, the Lucrehulk could launch 1,000 fighters into battle within minutes. This rapid deployment made it a flexible and agile vessel, capable of quickly responding to threats. The droid fighters were not only fast to launch, but also required little preparation compared to their manned counterparts, further enhancing the ship's agility in combat. The hangars also served as a protective staging area for the fighters. The launch bays were partly shielded by the armored hull of the ship, making them more secure against enemy fire. By housing its fleet in these hangars, the Lucrehulk could ensure that its fighters were well protected from direct attacks, offering a strategic advantage during battle. The Lucrehulk's hangars were designed to be as functional as possible. The ship's internal layout was optimized to allow for quick refueling and rearming of droids, ensuring that the fighter fleet could remain operational for extended periods without needing extensive downtime. Additionally, the hangars were organized into multiple sections with several entry points, allowing for a swift and coordinated launch of combat craft, especially during large-scale battles. To ensure quick access to its fleet, the Lucrehulk featured additional hangar entrances that allowed for the rapid deployment of fighters from multiple points on the ship. Depending on the specific version and modification of the vessel, the number of hangar entrances could vary, but they were always designed to support massive combat operations. The Lucrehulk was designed for long-term missions, supported by 500 days' worth of consumables. This ability to remain operational for extended periods without resupply was vital, especially considering the ship's logistical function. The consumables allowed the Lucrehulk to support its crew and droid fighters over long journeys, making it a highly self-sufficient vessel during prolonged military campaigns. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship was more than just a transport vessel. It was a multi-purpose warship that could serve as a mobile logistics hub and a launching platform for powerful combat operations. Its hangars and docking bays were key elements of its design, enabling the ship to support both its military and logistical functions with incredible efficiency. Whether deploying fighters in battle or transporting vast quantities of goods, the Lucrehulk proved to be one of the most effective and adaptable warships of the Trade Federation, and later, the Confederacy of Independent Systems in the Clone Wars. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship was a logistical marvel, its vast size and modular design allowing it to carry an unprecedented complement of troops, vehicles, and starfighters. Originally designed as a Trade Federation freighter, the vessel's transformation into a battleship under the Confederacy of Independent Systems, CIS, leveraged its immense storage capacity to support large-scale military operations. The Lucrehulk's complement enabled it to act as a self-sustaining invasion platform, capable of deploying entire armies and starfighter squadrons to overwhelm enemy forces on both space and planetary battlefields. The Lucrehulk-class battleship carried up to 50 C-979 landing craft, specialized vessels designed to transport troops and vehicles from the battleship to planetary surfaces. These massive, winged craft were equipped with reinforced hulls and vast cargo holds, allowing them to carry significant loads of troops, tanks, and equipment. Each C-979 was capable of deploying directly into combat zones, ensuring that ground forces could establish a presence rapidly and efficiently. The landing craft were designed with redundancy and reliability in mind, minimizing the risk of loss during high-intensity planetary assaults. The Lucrehulk's ability to carry such a large number of these craft meant it could deploy multiple waves of reinforcements, ensuring continuous pressure on the battlefield. This capacity made the Lucrehulk indispensable in large-scale invasions, such as those seen during the campaigns on Naboo and Christophsis. The Lucrehulk housed an astonishing 1,500 Vulture droid starfighters, making it one of the most prolific starfighter carriers in the galaxy. These autonomous droid starfighters were stored in racks within the battleship's massive hangar bays, ready to be deployed en masse at a moment's notice. Vulture droids were highly effective in swarming tactics, using their sheer numbers to overwhelm enemy squadrons and capital ship defenses. The battleship's ability to rapidly deploy hundreds of starfighters simultaneously made it a formidable threat in space engagements. This overwhelming starfighter complement provided cover for the Lucrehulk itself, shielded other Confederate ships, and allowed for the dominance of contested airspace during planetary operations. The strategic value of this starfighter capability was a key reason the Republic considered the Lucrehulk a priority target during the Clone Wars. To transport its vast droid army to the battlefield, the Lucrehulk carried 1,500 troop carriers, specialized vehicles designed for moving infantry units efficiently. These carriers ensured that droid forces could be mobilized quickly once planetside, maintaining the momentum of the invasion. Equipped with magnetic clamps for secure transport and quick deployment ramps, troop carriers enabled droid units to disembark directly into combat or staging areas. The coordination between troop carriers and C-979 landing craft created a seamless logistical chain, ensuring that infantry reinforcements could reach critical points on the battlefield with precision. This efficiency allowed the Confederacy to overwhelm Republic defenders with continuous waves of droid soldiers, a tactic that defined many of their military campaigns. The Lucrehulk carried 550 multi-troop transports, heavy-duty armored vehicles designed to deliver large numbers of B-1 series battle droids directly to the front lines. Each MTT was capable of carrying 112 battle droids in secure storage racks, which could be rapidly deployed through extendable delivery systems. MTTs were integral to the Lucrehulk's ability to sustain prolonged ground operations, providing not only troop deployment, but also battlefield protection for droid forces during transit. These heavily armored vehicles could withstand moderate enemy fire, ensuring that their payloads reached the battlefield intact. The integration of MTTs into the Lucrehulk's complement underscored its role as a comprehensive invasion platform, capable of supplying both numbers and tactical advantages to ground forces. The battleship also carried 6,250 armored assault tanks, AATs, versatile combat vehicles that provided heavy firepower and battlefield mobility. AATs were a core component of the CIS ground strategy, used for both direct assaults and defensive operations. Their powerful laser cannons and missile launchers allowed them to engage enemy infantry, vehicles, and fortifications effectively. The Lucrehulk's ability to deliver such a large number of AATs to the battlefield ensured that its ground forces had the firepower to maintain superiority over Republic forces. Whether storming fortifications or holding strategic points, the AATs played a critical role in the success of Confederate campaigns. The deployment of these tanks in conjunction with the battleship's vast infantry complement made the Lucrehulk a comprehensive force multiplier in planetary engagements. The most staggering aspect of the Lucrehulk's complement was its capacity to carry over 329,600 B-1 series battle droids. These droids formed the backbone of the Confederacy's military, offering an almost inexhaustible supply of infantry to overwhelm enemy forces. Stored in compact racks throughout the Lucrehulk's cavernous holds, the battle droids could be activated and deployed in waves, ensuring a continuous presence on the battlefield. The sheer number of droids aboard a single Lucrehulk allowed it to conduct full-scale planetary invasions independently, with enough troops to capture and hold entire cities or regions. The automated nature of the B-1 series droids made them ideal for mass deployment, as they required minimal maintenance and could be controlled remotely from the Lucrehulk's command systems. The Lucrehulk-class battleship's complement epitomized the Confederacy's strategy of overwhelming force and efficient resource utilization. Its ability to carry massive numbers of troops, vehicles, and starfighters allowed it to act as a self-contained invasion platform, capable of projecting power across the galaxy. Whether leading a fleet or operating independently, the Lucrehulk's logistical and tactical capabilities ensured its place as one of the most effective and feared vessels in the Confederate arsenal. Through its unmatched carrying capacity and adaptability, the Lucrehulk-class battleship became a symbol of the CIS's military might, embodying its reliance on mass production, automation, and relentless strategic pressure to achieve victory during the Clone Wars. The Lucrehulk-class battleship, a colossal vessel central to the Confederacy of Independent Systems war effort, operated through a sophisticated and unique integration of organic oversight and droid labor. This carefully balanced hybrid crew model allowed the Lucrehulk to function as a command center, invasion platform, and battleship, excelling in prolonged campaigns and large-scale operations. The relationships between the human supervisors, droid crew members, and maintenance units formed a system of seamless coordination that ensured the ship's exceptional efficiency and adaptability in the heat of battle. At the apex of the Lucrehulk's crew hierarchy were 60 organic supervisors, whose primary responsibility was overseeing the ship's operation and coordinating its role in the broader fleet. These individuals were often highly skilled strategists and tacticians, drawn from the ranks of the Trade Federation or the CIS military leadership. Supervisors occupied key positions within the battleship's central command bridge, where they had access to comprehensive tactical displays, communication arrays, and navigation systems. They acted as the decision-making core, directing the ship's movements, engaging in fleet coordination, and responding to unforeseen tactical challenges. The supervisors also relayed commands to the ship's droid crew members, often issuing directives to multiple systems simultaneously. The relationship between supervisors and the droid crew was one of command and compliance, with droids programmed to execute orders without question. However, the droids were capable of offering situational data and predictive analyses, assisting the organic crew in making informed decisions. This synergy between human ingenuity and droid precision was pivotal to the Lucrehulk's operational success. A critical component of the Lucrehulk's functionality was its 3,000 specialized droid crew members, including pilot battle droids. These droids handled virtually all technical and operational tasks, from managing propulsion systems and reactor controls to overseeing weaponry and hangar operations. The pilot droids were specifically designed for navigation and tactical coordination, often working in tandem with their organic supervisors. They ensured that the ship remained on course, executed hyperspace calculations, and coordinated the deployment of starfighters and landing craft. Other droids were specialized for tasks such as monitoring life support systems, managing power distribution, and repairing minor malfunctions. Despite their mechanical nature, droid crew members operated with remarkable efficiency, capable of multitasking and maintaining near constant activity. Their loyalty to their programming ensured a disciplined and unyielding workforce, free from the psychological and physical limitations of organic personnel. Perhaps the most numerous and indispensable part of the crew were the 200,000 maintenance droids deployed across the battleship's immense interior. These droids were responsible for ensuring that every system, corridor, and subsystem of the Lucrehulk remained functional and battle-ready. Maintenance droids were specialized for tasks such as hull repair, weapon calibration, and environmental system upkeep. Their small size allowed them to access confined areas, and their modular tools enabled them to perform a wide variety of repairs and adjustments. During combat, maintenance droids played a critical role in sustaining the ship's resilience. Whether patching breaches caused by enemy fire or recalibrating damaged weapon systems, these droids ensured that the Lucrehulk could endure extended engagements. Their ability to work tirelessly under pressure made them invaluable in maintaining the battleship's combat readiness. Despite its reliance on automation, the Lucrehulk-class battleship was equipped with living quarters and amenities for its organic supervisors. These quarters were located in secure sections of the core ship, shielded from external threats, and insulated from the noise and vibrations of the ship's operations. Living spaces included private cabins, with basic comforts such as sleeping quarters, workstations, and hygiene facilities. Communal areas, such as mess halls and recreation rooms, allowed supervisors to relax and maintain morale during extended deployments. While the accommodations were utilitarian compared to luxury vessels, they were designed to provide a comfortable and functional environment for long-term habitation. The organic crew's reliance on the droids for menial tasks meant that supervisors could focus entirely on their strategic duties. However, this separation also created a sense of isolation, with the supervisors forming a tight-knit community bound by their shared responsibilities and the stress of war. The relationship between the Lucrehulk's human supervisors and its droid crew was one of command and compliance, but also mutual reliance. While the droids executed the bulk of the ship's operations, they depended on their organic counterparts for high-level strategy and adaptability. Supervisors, in turn, relied on the droids' precision, endurance, and ability to process data instantaneously. Interactions between the two were functional and efficient, with droids providing updates, status reports, and predictive analyses as needed. Organic supervisors rarely intervened in the minutiae of droid operations, allowing the automated systems to operate autonomously within predefined parameters. This division of labor created a streamlined workflow, minimizing the risk of errors and ensuring that the ship operated at peak efficiency. The Lucrehulk-class battleship was renowned for its exceptional controllability, despite its enormous size. This was achieved through a combination of advanced droid systems, intuitive interfaces for human supervisors, and a hierarchical command structure that allowed for rapid decision-making. The central command bridge served as the ship's nerve center, where supervisors could monitor and control every aspect of the battleship's operation. From here, orders were relayed to the droid crew via secure communication channels, ensuring that tasks were executed without delay. The ship's systems were designed to provide real-time feedback, allowing supervisors to adjust tactics and respond to emerging threats with precision. The hybrid crew model of the Lucrehulk-class battleship exemplified the CIS's emphasis on efficiency and resourcefulness. By leveraging the strengths of both organic and droid personnel, the battleship achieved a level of operational capability unmatched by traditional warships. This integration allowed the Lucrehulk to perform a wide range of roles, from fleet command and planetary invasion to long-range patrols and blockade enforcement. Its self-sufficient design, bolstered by the tireless efforts of its maintenance droids, ensured that it could remain operational for extended periods without external support. In conclusion, the crew of the Lucrehulk-class Battleship was more than the sum of its parts. The harmonious collaboration between human supervisors and droid workers created a system of unparalleled efficiency, adaptability, and resilience. This unique synergy, combined with the ship's immense capabilities, made the Lucrehulk a cornerstone of the CIS fleet and a symbol of its technological ingenuity. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship was one of the most massive and powerful ships ever constructed in the Star Wars universe. Its construction was an extraordinary feat, involving cutting-edge technology, vast resources, and significant logistical coordination. Originally designed as a modified cargo freighter, the Lucrehulk was eventually repurposed as a battleship, becoming the backbone of the Trade Federation's and later the Confederacy's military forces. The primary manufacturer responsible for the Lucrehulk was Horsch-Kessel Drive Inc., a well-established corporation known for producing both civilian and military vessels. Specializing in freighters, the company initially focused on constructing large cargo ships, which were used for transporting goods and materials across vast distances. However, with the growing needs of the Trade Federation, especially during the rise of the Separatists, the Horsch-Kessel Corporation was tasked with adapting the Lucrehulk class for military applications, turning it into a formidable battleship. The Lucrehulk was a modified LH-3210 cargo freighter, with substantial alterations to its original design. The modifications involved the installation of powerful weaponry, including turbolasers, point defense systems, and a vast array of droid fighter hangars. Additionally, the ship's hull was reinforced, and its interior was armored to withstand the rigors of battle. These changes made the Lucrehulk a hybrid vessel capable of both logistical support and combat operations, a versatile and dangerous warship in the hands of the Trade Federation and later the Confederacy of Independent Systems. The Lucrehulk-class Battleship was a massive investment, with a construction cost of 500 million credits. This hefty price tag reflected not only the size and complexity of the ship, but also the advanced technology and extensive modifications required to convert a cargo freighter into a military powerhouse. The investment was part of the Trade Federation's larger strategy to arm itself for the Clone Wars. And despite the high cost, the Federation considered the Lucrehulk a critical asset due to its size, armament, and versatility. This cost did not cover just the production of the individual ships, but also the necessary infrastructure, such as the construction of specialized shipyards, docking stations, and the logistics required to maintain such a massive fleet. The production of the Lucrehulk-class battleships was no small feat. Construction took place in large, highly specialized shipyards that could accommodate the vast scale of the ship. These shipyards were scattered across the galaxy, often located in orbit around planets or at remote locations. Some of the most notable construction sites were situated in the core worlds and outer rim territories, where the Trade Federation had access to the resources and labor needed to build such massive ships. The scale of the shipyards themselves was immense, designed to handle the bulk of the ship's frame, as well as its internal systems, including hangars, weapon systems, and shield generators. The Lucrehulk was assembled in multiple stages, often over the course of several years, with the larger components being constructed and then brought together in orbital construction docks. Building a Lucrehulk-class battleship required an immense logistical effort, involving vast supplies of metal alloys, advanced machinery, and a steady stream of labor. Construction materials were transported by cargo ships to the shipyards, where they were assembled into the massive hull sections of the ship. These components were then moved into position using enormous docking cranes and tractor beams, further emphasizing the scale of the operation. The Trade Federation utilized droid labor extensively to streamline the construction process, deploying thousands of labor droids to handle the manual tasks and maintain the massive shipyards. This allowed for continuous construction without the need for rest periods, ensuring a steady production pace. Despite the enormous scale of the Lucrehulk, construction could proceed relatively quickly, thanks to the efficiency of the Trade Federation's logistics and the use of droid labor. A single Lucrehulk was typically completed within a few years, depending on the level of modification and the urgency of the Federation's needs. The Federation's ability to rapidly build large numbers of these ships allowed it to maintain a dominant presence in galactic trade and warfare, as they could be deployed for both blockades and combat operations. By the time of the Clone Wars, the Lucrehulk class was already in full production, and thousands of these vessels had been built or modified. The Federation's ability to mass-produce the Lucrehulk in its various configurations, from the basic cargo freighter to the heavily armed battleship, ensured that the Confederacy would have a fleet capable of engaging the Republic in a protracted conflict. The construction of the Lucrehulk-class Battleship was a remarkable achievement, blending advanced technology, massive resources, and cutting-edge production techniques. From its modification as a cargo freighter to its transformation into a battleship, the Lucrehulk was designed to be both a logistical asset and a fearsome warship. Its construction cost of 500 million credits was justified by its ability to dominate the battlefield, while providing essential support for the Trade Federation's expansive operations. With Hirsch-Kessel Drive Inc. at the helm and droid labor as its backbone, the Lucrehulk was a true testament to the Federation's ambition and military might. The story of the Lucrehulk-class battleship is deeply intertwined with the history of the Trade Federation, a vast conglomerate of merchants, free traders, and intergalactic corporations that rose to immense power in the centuries leading up to the Clone Wars. To understand the creation of this formidable vessel, we must first explore the historical context of the Neimoidians, their origins, and their evolution into a dominant force in galactic trade and warfare. The roots of the Neimoidians can be traced back to their genetic ancestors, the Duros, a spacefaring race that made significant strides in galactic navigation. The Duros were among the first to reverse engineer the Rakatan hyperdrive technology and develop their own spacefaring capabilities, laying the foundation for the vast interstellar trade networks that would follow. Despite their early achievements, the Duros suffered under the Rakatan Empire, which enslaved their species and devastated their homeworld. However, even before the rise of the Galactic Republic, the Duros were significant players in the galaxy's political landscape. They participated in key intergovernmental treaties, including the Herglic Trade Empire, and established a strong presence across the galaxy. In this early period, the Duros began exploring and colonizing new worlds. One of their most successful expeditions was the colonization of Neimoidia, led by the famed Duros traveler and cartographer Chao Ha'an, also known as Chua Sig Ha'an. The conditions on Neimoidia were far more hospitable than their toxic homeworld of Duro, and over time the colonists evolved into a distinct species, the Neimoidians. Though anatomically similar to the Duros, the Neimoidians developed their own unique culture and identity. As the Neimoidians began to prosper on their new homeworld, they inherited many of the Duros' shipbuilding traditions, which had been passed down over millennia. The Hirsch-Kessel Drive Corporation, established by the Duros monarchy, became a key player in the construction of some of the most advanced ships in the galaxy. Originally a state-owned enterprise, Hirsch-Kessel Drive was located on the planet Kessel, far from the Duros homeworld, signaling the Duros' influence and reach across the galaxy. The company specialized in creating massive ships, including cargo vessels and warships. One of its earliest innovations was the design of the Lucrehulk-class ships, which featured a central control core and a massive ring-shaped cargo hold that could be used for a variety of purposes, from transporting goods to housing large numbers of soldiers. The initial designs for these ships were the result of a joint effort between the Duros and the Neimoidians, both of whom contributed their unique expertise in shipbuilding and galactic trade. By the year 350 before Battle of Yavin, the Neimoidians and their allies in the Free Trader Guilds saw the opportunity to unite their forces and form the Trade Federation, a vast, intergalactic mega-corporation that would dominate the trade routes of the galaxy. The Federation's rise to power was initially welcomed by the Galactic Republic, which saw it as a means of stabilizing the chaotic and lawless Outer Rim territories. In its early years, the Trade Federation was primarily concerned with establishing trade routes, protecting merchants from piracy, and working to expand its influence in the galactic economy. Its ships, including the early Lucrehulk-class freighters, played a crucial role in the Federation's success. The Neimoidians, with their long history of trade and politics, had established themselves as key figures in this emerging economic empire. As the Federation expanded, it soon became clear that trade alone would not ensure its security. The Outer Rim territories were still rife with pirates, anarchy, and hostile competitors, and the Federation's interests were under constant threat. In 274 years before Battle of Yavin, nearly a century after its founding, the Trade Federation realized the need to protect its growing fleet of cargo ships, including the Lucrehulk freighters, with military force. This led to the creation of the Trade Defense Force, TDF, a military arm designed to protect Federation assets and maintain order in the Outer Rim. Initially, the TDF relied on living soldiers and officers rather than droids, reflecting the Federation's early attempts at organizing a traditional military force. However, as the galaxy descended into greater turmoil and the Clone Wars approached, the Neimoidians would rely more heavily on droid armies and eventually transform their military structure. The Lucrehulk-class battleships were initially built as massive merchant ships for the Trade Federation, but over time, these vessels would become the backbone of the Federation's military fleet. Hirsch-Kessel Drive continued to produce Lucrehulk models throughout the centuries, gradually modifying them to include heavy weaponry, advanced shielding, and docking systems for droid fighters. As the Clone Wars began, the Lucrehulk would become a symbol of the Federation's growing military might. These ships were not only capable of transporting goods, but also projecting power, capable of blockading planets, deploying armies, and engaging in full-scale combat. The ship's massive size, defensive capabilities, and powerful armaments made them fearsome adversaries. During the invasion of Naboo, the Trade Federation deployed a formidable fleet of Lucrehulk-class battleships, which played a central role in enforcing the blockade and invasion of the peaceful Mid-Rim planet. The fleet was primarily brought in over economic disputes, including disagreements about plasma exports and the taxation of free trade zones. The Trade Federation's military intervention began with a week-long blockade of Naboo, which effectively cut off the planet from outside communication and support, laying the groundwork for the invasion. Among the key assets in the Federation's fleet was the Lucrehulk-class droid control ship, Viutun Pala, which served as the command center for the massive droid army. This ship was essential to the operation, as it coordinated the movements and actions of the B-1 battle droids deployed across the planet. The Viutun Pala was heavily shielded, and its powerful deflector shields made it nearly invulnerable to conventional attacks. The ship's colossal size, with a spherical central core and massive ring-shaped docking sections, made it an imposing presence in orbit over Naboo. As the blockade and invasion unfolded, ground forces were landed from the Trade Federation's ships to secure key locations on Naboo, particularly the capital city of Theed. While the Federation's forces occupied the planet, they encountered resistance from the Gungan Grand Army, which was bolstered by the leadership of Queen Padmé Amidala and the Republic's support. However, the real turning point came during a daring aerial assault by Bravo Squadron. In the midst of the battle, a young Anakin Skywalker, an inexperienced but force-sensitive pilot, found himself caught up in the conflict. During a dogfight near the blockade, Anakin, against all odds, flew his ship into the hangar of the Viutun Pala, and in an incredible stroke of luck, fired upon the droids inside. His wild shots, combined with the accidental targeting of 2 proton torpedoes into the ship's main reactor, caused a catastrophic internal explosion. This explosion led to a chain reaction that destroyed the ship from the inside out, severing its control over the droid army. The destruction of the Viutun Pala was a pivotal moment in the battle. The loss of the droid control ship disrupted the Federation's droid forces, effectively shutting down the B-1 battle droids across Naboo. This was instrumental in the Gungan Grand Army's victory, as it crippled the Trade Federation's ability to continue its assault on the planet. Despite the explosion of the control ship's central core, the portside ring of the vessel survived the destruction, floating as a derelict remnant of the Trade Federation's once mighty war machine. Following the success of the Republic and the defeat of the Trade Federation on Naboo, the Galactic Senate ordered the disbandment of the Federation's military forces, including its fleet of Lucrehulk-class battleships. The Trade Federation, however, had no intention of completely dismantling its warships. Instead, it cunningly pretended to comply with the Republic's demands by ostensibly disassembling most of its fleet, while secretly repurposing the core sections of the Lucrehulks. These centrosphere cores were detached from the outer rings and converted into supply ships capable of carrying cargo and troops, while also being retrofitted with enhanced weaponry for future use. Though the aftermath of the Naboo invasion marked a setback for the Trade Federation, the Lucrehulk-class battleships, though less prominent in the short term, remained a vital asset in the Federation's military endeavors. They would be used in later conflicts, such as the conflict with outbound flight in 27 years before Battle of Yavin, where one of the Lucrehulks was destroyed by the Chiss commander Thrawn, and the other was forced to surrender. The legacy of the Lucrehulk-class battleships continued, a symbol of the Trade Federation's immense industrial might and its willingness to manipulate the galaxy's economic and political systems for its own gain. During the Clone Wars, the Lucrehulk-class battleships became a defining symbol of the Confederacy of Independent Systems, serving as key vessels in their naval forces. Initially, these ships were designed for commercial use, serving the Trade Federation's vast shipping and cargo operations. However, as the conflict escalated, the Lucrehulk class was extensively modified to support the Confederacy's military efforts. These ships, particularly the core ships with their detachable outer rings, were transformed into massive warships, capable of carrying and deploying legions of battle droids, making them indispensable to the Separatist cause. The Lucrehulk class first saw combat in the Battle of Geonosis, the opening engagement of the Clone Wars. These ships played a pivotal role in transporting droid armies and military supplies to the front lines. The core ships, with their colossal size, were able to carry enormous numbers of battle droids, and their ability to reattach to the outer ring after a retreat was a significant tactical advantage. This versatility allowed them to continue operating in various configurations, whether for troop deployment, transport, or direct engagement with Republic forces. As the war raged on, the Lucrehulk-class battleships underwent significant upgrades to bolster their combat capabilities. Their firepower was greatly enhanced with the addition of hundreds of long-range turbo-laser cannons, quad laser cannons, and heavy guns, mounted on both the central core and the surrounding cargo arms. These enhancements turned the once merely imposing cargo ships into formidable war machines, capable of engaging Republic fleets in large-scale space battles. The ship's upgraded firepower made them formidable adversaries during numerous conflicts, including major engagements such as the Battle of Coruscant, where a few dozen Lucrehulks participated in the Separatist assault on the galactic capital towards the end of the war. Throughout the Clone Wars, the Lucrehulk-class battleships, along with other capital ships of the Confederate Navy, proudly bore the colors and insignia of the Separatists. Their distinctive appearance and overwhelming size became synonymous with the might of the Confederacy. Their large hulls, heavy weaponry, and vast cargo holds made them ideal for carrying the droid armies and military resources needed to fight the Republic on multiple fronts across the galaxy. The Confederacy's reliance on these ships was so extensive that they were deployed to numerous star systems, participating in numerous battles and shaping the course of the war. In terms of tactics, the Lucrehulk-class vessels were often used as command ships, controlling entire fleets of droid armies and coordinating massive invasions across the galaxy. Their central cores often acted as nerve centers, while the surrounding rings were equipped with the necessary weapons and systems to support the war effort, making them the backbone of the Confederate war machine. The battleships were involved in many of the most significant campaigns of the Clone Wars. From the early battles to the final siege of Coruscant, the Lucrehulks were a crucial part of the Separatist strategy, and their devastating firepower and sheer numbers were key to holding back Republic forces. Their massive structure and formidable weaponry made them one of the most iconic warships of the war, standing as a testament to the Trade Federation's industrial power and the Separatist Alliance's military ambition. Despite their importance during the war, the Lucrehulk-class battleships were not invulnerable. Their reliance on their massive size and external ring meant they were vulnerable to certain types of attacks, particularly those targeting their docking mechanisms or shields. However, these vulnerabilities did little to diminish their overall impact on the Clone Wars, where they remained a formidable presence until the eventual defeat of the Separatists. During the reign of the Galactic Empire, the once feared Lucrehulk-class battleships, symbols of the Separatist cause during the Clone Wars, found themselves repurposed, decommissioned, and scattered across the galaxy. However, their legacy and immense potential remained intact, and over time, these massive warships would continue to play a role in the galaxy's shifting tides. In 14 years before Battle of Yavin, after the conclusion of the Clone Wars and the rise of the Empire, a Lucrehulk-class battleship was brought to the scrapyards of Bracca. There, it was dismantled by the Scrapper Guild, a group of salvagers who scavenged valuable components from war-era starships. The once proud warship now served a new purpose, its components and materials used to support the Empire's infrastructure and industry, reflecting the widespread decline of the separatist military might under Imperial rule. However, not all Lucrehulk-class ships met such a fate. In 9 years before Battle of, one of these ships, a core ship of the Lucrehulk Primacy, was found on the desert planet of Kobo. It was repurposed as a base of operations for the Bedlam Raiders, a marauder group that scavenged battle droids left on the ship to bolster their forces. The remnants of the once dominant separatist fleet were now tools for criminal elements, highlighting the ongoing influence of the Lucrehulks long after the fall of the Confederacy. Despite their association with the former Separatist alliance, the Lucrehulk-class battleships found new meaning during the Galactic Civil War. The Rebel Alliance, ever in need of resources, took advantage of the size and space offered by a Lucrehulk-class ship known as Lucrehulk Prime. Converted into a flight school, Lucrehulk Prime became a symbol of resistance. General Hera Syndulla, a key figure in the Rebel Alliance, commanded the vessel. To her, the ship stood as a poignant symbol of tyranny turned into a vessel of hope, as it had once been an instrument of war and oppression, and was now being used to train new pilots who would help bring down the Empire. In the aftermath of the Empire's fall, during the rise of the New Republic, the legacy of the Lucrehulk-class battleships would continue to resonate. In 35 years after the Battle of Yavin, several of these ships, now under the control of the Citizens' Fleet, took part in the climactic Battle of Exegol, joining the forces of the Resistance in their final confrontation with the Sith Eternal and Darth Sidious' Final Order. The Lucrehulks, now fighting for the light side of the Force, participated in one of the most pivotal battles in galactic history, symbolizing the enduring power of these ancient vessels as they shifted from instruments of tyranny to beacons of freedom and hope. The Lucrehulk-class battleships, which once dominated the skies of the galaxy as symbols of separatist strength, had undergone an incredible transformation by the time of the Empire's fall. From being dismantled and repurposed in the scrapyards to becoming vital assets in the hands of the Resistance, their story was a testament to the ever-changing nature of the galaxy and the lasting impact of even the most destructive war machines when repurposed for the greater good.